Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today I wanted to do another little preview for the Bayer Leverkusen game. If you haven't seen it, please go check out the video I dropped yesterday, which was an interview with a friend of mine, Jens, who's a Bayer Leverkusen super fan. And, you know, he walked us through what's going on in Leverkusen, what does the team do, what do they look like. But I think, you know, over the course of the interviews, there's a few things that we didn't really have an opportunity to mention. And for me, I wanted to balance the view of Bayer Leverkusen with what we know of PSG as well, and kind of get to a clearer picture of what the matchup looks like from both sides. And so that's why I wanted to add on a little bit of info in this video. And yeah, like give you a better sense of what to expect from this Champions League game. Champions are back, champions on the pitch, but also like champions the competition. And so yeah, Bayer Leverkusen PSG this Tuesday night in Leverkusen is going to be plenty exciting, and there's a lot of things to talk about. Starting with, and I think for me that is one of the big tactical keys that we can expect from this matchup. I said highways on the side, and this stems from the fact that Leverkusen, in terms of tactical structure, from what I've seen, they play a sort of three at the back, kind of a 3-4-2-1, if you will. They will have three central defenders, two fullbacks, Alex Grimaldo on one side, Alex the Brazilian on the other, two central midfielders, and then they have two offensive midfielders with one number 9. And the reality is that with this organization, they're very, very, very focused on the center of the pitch. And so the sides, typically, like on the left, there's only Alex Grimaldo, and on the right, there's only Alex. And, you know, obviously, Grimaldo is a talent, and he's like probably the best players they have on their squad. But at the same time, if he ends up in a matchup with both Hakimi and Doué versus one, yes, there could be highways for us. And even if their offensive midfielders kind of like move to the side a little bit more, or even if one of the central defenders move to the side a little bit more, we're not talking about players who are very comfortable in those spaces. And so I really do think that for us, when you think of the quality of our fullbacks and how much of difference makers Hakimi can be, and how much of a difference maker Nuno Mendes has been this season, it could really be an area. And, you know, more than this, if you think of a player like Barcola, if he starts, having space to roam at the back of a fullback, and without like a central defenders really like marking it very closely, man, like, yeah, if he ends up with some space to run and some space to gather speed and so on, yeah, it's really like a golden opportunity for us. And that's why, like, for me, it's one of the big area, because yeah, we might be like pushed a bit tight in the middle of the pitch, and I think, you know, for our midfield, I do think we've got the individual quality to make it up, but there could be a lot of density in the middle. But if we go through the sides and we manage to, you know, create situations of 2-on-1s on the side, of wingers behind enemy lines and so on, it's golden for us. We've seen it before. Like, it's going to be golden. So that's one of the big lessons that I've got for you guys. And then the second one, which I wanted to mention, is really in terms of individual talent, because not only are we getting some of our, you know, top players and top attackers coming back to the team, but I think in general, like, this Bayer Leverkusen team has a lot of players who are injured. They don't have like either their starting or substitute number 9. They've got offensive midfielders who are missing. They've got one of their key midfielders is missing. They don't really have their right back. They've got a midfielder who's playing the third central defense spot. So they do have a lot of gap on their team right now. And just in terms of individual quality, yeah, we're just not on the same level, if I'm very honest. And like, I don't want to be too blunt about it, because obviously, like, what exists on paper doesn't really matter once you get on the pitch, and we've seen it time and time again. Like get surprised by teams that are supposed to be inferiors. But yeah, Jens mentioned it yesterday. Like a Tapsoba in defense, it's not a clear like reinsurance in all situations. Their keepers is prone to like trying to play from the back, maybe excessively, and if he's put under pressure, like there could be opportunities there. And yeah, like their number 9 is a 19-year-old kid who's just coming out and getting his first matches. Alex Grimaldo, like God bless him, but like if that's the best they've got, like I'll remind you, like a couple of years back, I remember like Alex Grimaldo was one of those players that we always were talking about in PSG, and the idea a couple of years back was saying like, oh, like Nuno Mendes gets injured a lot, so let's bring in Grimaldo. So he can cover under Nuno Mendes on the left, and if Nuno Mendes is fit, it's fine because Grimaldo can also like cover some of the positions in midfield. But yeah, like their best player, literally, like we wanted him as a sub for Nuno Mendes back when Nuno Mendes wasn't at the level that he's at right now. So that really gives you a sense of like comparatively where are the two teams and where are the players. And I think for us, yeah, like I said, we do have some players returning. Doué was back in the game against Strasbourg, got 60 minutes on the pitch. Barcola seems to have hit back good levels of form after his injury with the French team or whatever happened there. Vara is back as well. He played 30 minutes and he played during the international break. And we've got some players that we kept on the bench against Strasbourg for fitness reason. But Vitinha is going to be there, and Hakimi is going to be there, Pacho is going to be there, Nuno Mendes is going to be there. And so all of a sudden, yes, that individual talents that we have, I really do think, we can talk tactics until we blue in the face. We can argue like the 3-4-3 versus 4-3-3, and shifting defense and density in the middle and so on. The reality is like when 10 of your players are in the top 30 of the Ballon d'Or, it gives you like such a big margin versus a lot of teams. And again, like really like all due respect, because I do think this Leverkusen team has a lot of potential. Yeah, I really do feel like on individual talent we're 3 steps ahead right now. And hopefully that's something that we see on the pitch and something that really shines through. And then, so in terms of starting 11s, because I think that's interesting. I'm not going to get into the Leverkusen side because there's a lot of uncertainty, but at the same time, I don't think it's that like. I think whoever they put on the pitch ultimately, like we need to be able to get away with the results. And I think for us, with the people and the player who are returning, we're going to have Chevalier at the back in goal. And I think Chevalier, it's a golden opportunity for him to really like show what he can do. Champions League is really where it's at with PSG. Bayer Leverkusen, it's a good team, but it's not a really super strong team. So even if they have opportunities, which I fully expect to the Champions League, so it's they're still gonna have opportunities. It's really a chance for Chevalier to shine and to show what he can do. So I hope he takes it, and we'll see after that. In defense, I think Hakimi on the right, Nuno Mendes on the left, and then in central defense, Marquinhos is back in the squad. I think there's a chance that he starts, but I'm not entirely certain whether like Luis Enrique would want to take risk, and 2 would want his first game back to be in a Champions League game, and especially like a Champions League game versus either English or German team. That's a very high intensity physical game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with Pacho Zabarni in the middle, but I think it's maybe like 30-35% chance that Marquinhos gets the nod. It really depends on his condition, and unfortunately we don't really know this much at this point. Midfield is really where it's interesting because I think Fabian Ruiz and Joao Neves are both still out. So we're going to have Vitinha. He's going to be there for sure. I think Warren Zaire-Emery, after the games that he played against Lille and against Strasbourg, and generally like really good performances with the U21 of France during the international break. I think he gets that second spot. The third one is a bit tricky, if I'm completely honest. Against Strasbourg, like Luis Enrique actually played Doué in midfield in this position. And I think for all of the talents that Doué has with the ball, his off the ball was really not up to scratch. And, you know, in terms of his defensive contribution, it was really, really light for a midfielder. And I think for a Champions League game, you don't want to take these sort of chances. So I think at this point, honestly, like the one I think more obvious choice would probably be Mayulu, but it could go for Kangin Lee. I wouldn't be entirely surprised. And I think like the long odds, and honestly, like what I would love to see personally, and that's just me, like let me know in the comments what you think. I would love for Ndjantou to get a start. Because I think, you know, he's bringing a lot to the table. He's had like a few games now, and he's always bringing like some energy and some intensity, and really like he's not afraid of the spotlight. And so I think it'd be great for him to have a start in the Champions League. Maybe get that off his chest, like the first one. And yeah, like, you know, it's a game where ultimately, I think there's going to be a lot of intensity, but at the same time, like I said, like in terms of individual quality, he should be at a level where, yeah, he can play in a game against Leverkusen. It wouldn't be like completely mad, and I think it'd be pretty interesting. I think it's a very long shot, but honestly, like I'd be pretty happy to see it happen in a way. And then in offense, I think like we go with Barcola on the left. I think we go with Doué on the right. And then I think we go with Mayulu in number 9 if he doesn't play in midfield. If he plays in midfield, it could go either way, Ramos or Gvara. We'll see. It's a bit unpredictable, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think if you ask me, I would say Chevalier, Hakimi, Zabarni, Pacho, Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, Warren Zaïre-Emery, Ndjantou, Barcola, Mayulu, Doué. I think that's the starting 11 that I feel. I think it's strong. I think it does what we wanted to do. And I think, you know, yesterday with Jens, I was saying like, oh, like maybe we get to 3-1-4-1. I really do think like, you know, given what I've said about the individual quality and also like the opportunities that we might be able to get on the wings, yeah, like, and you know, we're talking like Bayer Leverkusen last weekend, like they got the win against Mayence, but like they won 4-3, and literally like Mayence is, I don't know, like 18th of Bundesliga, or like really like borderline in the relegation zone. They get 3 goals scored on them by such a team. It doesn't really fill me with confidence about their defending. So I'm really sorry for my German friends, but I do see a world where, yeah, we score quite a few goals. In the end, honestly, like it's once again, like it might sound very arrogant, but I don't think it's a very important match for us. I think as long as we get the win, we're not really gonna care that much about the rest of it. It's a good opportunity for some players to work on their fitness level, get back into the squad. Maybe Marquinhos, maybe Dembele, they get on the pitch at the 70th minute, get some minutes. Kvara, Doué, Barcola, it's a chance for them to work back on their fitness level as well. And you know, for players like Warren, like Ndjantou, or Chevalier even, it's a chance to really show that they've got a role to play in this squad, and they can be trusted, and we can rely on them in Champions League matchups. So we'll see. I do think like, yeah, 3-1-4-1 is probably like the most likely outcome. But honestly, like as long as we get +1 like goal in the scoreline, I'll be very happy with that, and I'll take that regardless. And we'll just move on to the next thing. This whole like block of games anyway is going to be predicated and organized and built around the ramp up to the PSG Bayern Munich game, which, if I remember right, is 4th of November. And that is like the big games that we've got on the horizon. And that's, you know, what players need to get fit for, they need to come back for injury from. That's where, like, you know, we need to get into our peak physical fitness levels for that. That's where, like, you know, we need to have some sense of the team is used again to playing together and they're ready for it. Because right now, like, to me, Bayern Munich is simply like probably the best team in Europe with us. And so it's gonna be a huge matchup in the Parc des Princes, and that's really the big game that's coming our way. So anyway, this is what I had for you guys on Bayer Leverkusen PSG. Bayer null fear, like my German friends would say. Entschuldigung für my Deutsch. Return of the champions on the pitch, return of the champions, the competition, and hopefully like return to Paris with a win. That's what I'm asking for. If you're with me at this point, like, please drop a like on the video. Really helps for the YouTube of it all. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell to get notified. And let me know in the comments what you think of this game and what's your expectation going into it. And don't forget, even in Germany, ici c'est Paris!